So, what does Donald Trump have planned for America if he gets back into the White House in 2025? Here's something he has planned.
Going to start the largest mass deportation in the history of our country.
Staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier, so let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher.
And for the untold millions who are here illegally that you referred to, you've talked about a mass deportation program. How is that practically possible? Because a lot of the millions of people have had children here who are American citizens. And don't you think the first time there is an image on television of a family tearfully being told to board a bus, that whole program would end?
That's right. If you take a young woman with two beautiful children and you put her on a bus, and it ends up on the front page of every newspaper, it makes it a lot harder.
So yes to mass deportation, even of women and children.
So we're going to look at it very closely. The way you phrase it is exactly right. And getting them out will be a bloody story. Should have never been allowed to come into our country. If you come back, you will be executed. You will be killed immediately. Not going to be easy, but we'll do it.
Let's stop now and reflect on what Trump has planned here. The creation of a massive roundup and deportation force made up of the United States military, the National Guard, and local police forces. A force that he will unleash across the entire country to hunt down 11 million plus people. An armed force scouring every street, every cafe, every restaurant, every construction site, every hospital, every school, every playground, every apartment building, every home. Each armed trooper given the authority to enter by force if necessary, to drag out men, women, and children, to be thrown onto transport trucks and trains where they will be taken and gathered in vast deportation camps, concentration camps. Millions of people, most of whom have been here 10, 15, 20 years or more, part of families with husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, children, who are United States citizens, the vast majority of whom are working hard every day, not committing crimes, but contributing to America through the work they do and the taxes they pay. And we should all ask ourselves, which people will be the target of Trump's deportation force? We know the answer, of course. Non-white people, mostly those from South American countries, and perhaps some from countries in Africa. We also need to ask ourselves how exactly Trump's deportation stormtroopers will know who among those they are rounding up are not actually United States citizens. Will every man, woman, and child of certain ethnic groups be required to carry with them at all times official papers or cards identifying themselves as United States citizens, or risk being tossed in the back of a truck or a transport train if they happen to run into and be stopped by and questioned by one of Trump's troops on their way to work or to the grocery store or going to school? Will parents that fall within these groups now live with a new terror that when they send their young children out into the world to go to school, to go play soccer or baseball, or simply to ride their bikes, they might forget to remind their children to bring their identity papers or cards with them on the very day their children are stopped by a Trump stormtrooper? And what will happen if particular Trump stormtroopers don't believe the papers they're being shown are valid, or more sinisterly, don't care, and take the men, women, and children they stop into custody anyway? What will happen to those people? We have an idea what will become of those people by looking at what can accurately be described as a small test run of how careful a new Trump administration will conduct the roundup of millions of people when in Trump's first term he ordered that thousands of children, some as young as 1 to 2 years old, be separated from their parents at the border and handed over to Trump private contractors. And what became of those children? Well, the Trump administration did not even bother to keep track where these children were taken when they were ripped from their parents and handed off to private contractors. As of today, despite President Biden's intense efforts to locate all the children Trump separated from their parents, over 1,000 are still missing and unaccounted for, whisked off by Trump private contractors to who knows where. Given this history of callous and deliberate ineptitude on the part of the Trump administration in keeping track of just thousands, it is more than likely that hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of United States citizens will be swept up in the roundup of 11 to 20 million people that Trump will carry out, with zero effort to account for where they are sent or where they end up. These men, women, and even children will be lost like raindrops in the ocean, perhaps never to be seen by their husbands, wives, mothers, fathers, or children ever again. What does Vice President Harris have to say about Trump's massive deportation plan?
And while we fight to move our nation forward to a brighter future, Donald Trump and his extremist allies will keep trying to pull us backward. We all remember what they did to tear families apart. And now they have pledged to carry out the largest deportation, a mass deportation, in American history. Imagine what that would look like and what that would be. How's that going to happen? Massive raids? Massive detention camps? What are they talking about?
Vice President Harris asks us to imagine what Trump's plan to round up and deport millions of people would look like. We don't have to imagine what it will look like because something like it has happened before, in another time, in another place.
And it's going to look something like this.
Mrs. Dresner?
Yes. Oh, you're a friend of my son's. Don't worry, I'll go quietly. I'll be no trouble.
No, get under the stairs. They'll be down searching soon. You'll be safe there. Please, hide. Please, hide under the stairs. I've searched the building. There's no one here.
Einverstanden.
And it will look something like this. And it's going to look like this.
Aufmachen! 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 Oma, kannst du? Aufmachen! Nimm die rechte Tür. Ja. Gut. Ja, nimm die rechte Tür.
Every one of us should stop and think of the terror that Trump's massive roundup and deportation plan will create across every corner of America. The terror that millions of blended families, which are made up of both citizens and undocumented immigrants, will be living under every moment, day and night, holding their breaths, feeling the tightness in their chests, waiting for that inevitable horrific moment when they hear the late night pounding on their door or getting the frantic text from a father, mother, husband, wife, son, or daughter that they've just been seized and thrown into the back of a transport truck. Is this what we really want to play out across America? Is this what we really want America to become? Everyone should also think about this. No matter where you live, red state, blue state, city, suburb, or rural area, there's a good chance that when you make your way out into the world every day, you're interacting with or observing undocumented immigrants without realizing it, because what they are doing is so ordinary, weaved in as it is into the fabric of daily life in America. People at construction sites building our new homes or fixing up our existing ones. People part of work crews fixing our roads. People in fields and orchards harvesting our fruits and vegetables. People in cafes and restaurants preparing and serving our food, making our coffee and bagels and breakfast sandwiches, bussing our tables. People in office buildings clearing the trash, sweeping and mopping the floors, vacuuming the carpets. People delivering takeout and groceries to our homes and apartments. People believing with every fiber of their being in the American dream and pursuing it day in and day out with an unrelenting faith and inexhaustible vigor. We can solve the border problem that Trump has zero interest in solving without plunging our country into ugly darkness. We can retain our humanity. So, are we going to let our country, the United States of America, be remade into the image of these vile, despicable, soulless men, as Trump is intent on doing? No, we must not. We will not let Trump erase the image that comes to mind across the world to those seeking a better life for themselves, their children, and their grandchildren when they dream of coming to America.
this grand, wonderful lady.
Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my light beside the golden door. Emma Lazarus.